Great punt game, as I said. See you tomorrow.
Tonight in 7 News, Daniel Andrews blames Victorians as he orders Melbourne to go into lockdown for the second time. Here we go again, 6 weeks of stage 3 restrictions for the entire city.
I think a sense of complacency has crept into us as we let our frustrations get the better of us.
Schools shut down, hundreds of thousands of students told to stay home for an extra week. Another brutal blow for businesses forced into hibernation again. Supermarkets bracing for panic buying. Tensions flare at the towers. The Army and police sent in to stop Victorians from crossing the New South Wales border. And AFL hub states in a battle for the grand final as troubled Collingwood stars move out.
Live from Melbourne, 7 News with Peter Mitchell starts now.
Good evening. It's the news Melbourne has been dreading. The city is being forced back into full lockdown with the COVID crisis out of control. We'll be under stage 3 restrictions across the entire metropolitan area for 6 weeks, starting at midnight tomorrow. The tipping point came with a record 191 new cases. The Premier laying the blame on Victorians.
After crisis meetings all day at 3:20 this afternoon, the Premier made the announcement the state was dreading.
Reimpose stage 3 stay-at-home restrictions effective from midnight tomorrow night for a period of 6 weeks.
It applies to 31 local government areas in metropolitan Melbourne and the Mitchell Shire around Broadford, not to regional Victoria, and the Premier blames us.
I think a sense of complacency has crept into us as we let our frustrations get the better of us. I think that each of us knows someone who has not been following the rules as well as they should have.
So people will only be allowed to leave home for work and education, for care or caregiving, for daily exercise, to buy food and essentials.
This is certainly awful advice to have to give to any government, but it is absolutely necessary. This is required to avoid absolutely catastrophic outcomes.
Melburnians were shocked but understanding.
I think it's a big ask, but, we've got to do what we've got to do. First time, bit of a novelty, some puzzles to be done. Second time around, it's not as comical. We just thought we were past it, and it just sounds like we'll have to continue through winter.
For this family-run cafe in Werribee, where business is already down 75%, having to go back to takeaway only is devastating.
It really hit us hard the first time, second time probably even worse.
Do you think you'd be able to survive?
I don't know.
It came as the state broke another unenviable record. 191 new cases, smashing yesterday's record of 127. We now have an alarming 438 possible cases of community transmission, 772 active cases, 35 people in hospital, 9 in intensive care.
We know we're on the cusp of something very, very bad if we don't take these steps today.
Defence Force personnel will help police ensure Melburnians do not leave the metropolitan area.
As Victoria Police put in place roadblocks and other command centres to ensure that hard boundary between metropolitan Melbourne and regional Victoria is not breached.
All suburbs will be treated the same despite wildly varying case numbers. For instance, the city of Hume, based around Broadmeadows, has 145 active cases, but the city of Glen Eira, based around Caulfield, has none. Still, some experts say this lockdown should have come much earlier.
As an epidemiologist, I would have liked to have seen it occur at least a week or two ago.
The Premier again refused to discuss the reported cause of this second wave, the bungled hotel quarantine security guard system. But he did offer this to Victorians.
I am very sorry that we find ourselves in this position.
He urged unity.
We have to take this as seriously as we take bushfire. We can't. This is binary. It is life and death.
Nick McCallum, 7 News.
An already turbulent school year is about to get worse. Jodie Lee has the details all parents want to know. And Jodie, school holidays will be extended by a week and home learning is likely beyond that.
Mitch, Term 3 was set to begin this Monday, the 13th of July, but that will now only be possible for a very select group of students. At schools inside these 31 metropolitan areas, as well as the Mitchell Shire, it will only be students in Year 11 and 12 who are able to return to the classroom on Monday. Along with them, any student in Year 10 undertaking a VCE subject and any student at a special school will also be able to return to campus, but only with strict social distancing measures in place. For everybody else, that's prep right through to Year 10, the school holidays will be extended by a week. It's certainly a decision that has divided parents in what's already been a very disruptive school year.
Obviously it's a lot of stress on the parents and stuff like that, but I think it's the right thing to do. I mean, you can see what's going on and it gets scarier and scarier every day.
I work at a school and I see how close people are at school all the time, and so for their safety I would prefer them to be at home.
I really want this school back because I want to be with my friends, my teacher and everyone else.
The government knows just how disruptive this will be for many families, and as a result, it will offer holiday programs for the children of essential workers. But Mitch, it is only a stopgap. The Premier hasn't ruled out reintroducing homeschooling if the coronavirus numbers don't start declining.
Jodie Lee at Albert Park, thank you. Today's news is devastating for struggling businesses. Blake Johnson is in Lygon Street this evening, and Blake, a crushing blow just as they were getting back on their feet.
Pete, it is the worst kind of news, although not entirely unexpected, you'd have to say. Pubs and restaurants have been able to trade with customers for just over a month, but after tomorrow night, these tables will disappear. Instead, it is takeaway only. Some businesses, though, will just have to close.
Carlton's Hotel Lincoln is being prepared for last drinks again. A return to stage 3 restrictions after just 5 weeks.
It's just staring down the barrel of, we've got to go through all of this again. Like, it's daunting.
Staff hired recently may lose their jobs again.
Just landed this job last week, and the new restrictions mean that I'm out of a job and out of a paycheck again.
The devastating retreat in our fight against coronavirus will have ramifications not just across our state, but our nation.
Victoria's been such a strong driver of the national economy. There's no doubt that'll be impacted through this, and we'd also ask the federal government to start looking at what JobKeeper means to Victoria.
Cafes, pubs and restaurants here will close tomorrow night, many unable to reopen until late August. For some, takeaway is an option, but hardly a solution.
My heart moves for everybody in our industry because it's been a rough ride, and it is obviously now just going to get harder.
The business owners that we've spoken to today, although disappointed, understand this is the health crisis, and if this is what we have to do to get it back under control, then that's what we'll do.
Unlike last shutdown, some areas of Victoria will stay open for business. Country towns far from outbreaks in the city are safe for now.
This is going to be devastating for so many families, so many small businesses, so many jobs that just may not be there in 6 weeks' time. The Premier keeps saying we're all in this together. It'd be great if he acted like it.
Not everybody will make this. This is the hardest period that we've traded through possibly for 100 years.
Blake Johnson, 7 News.
And the virus is spreading rapidly across Melbourne. Jackie Felgate has the latest figures. Jackie.
Hello, Mitch. The city of Hume is one of the major worries. It has 145 active cases. That's up from 64 this time last week. Wyndham is also in strife. There are 105 active cases there. 7 days ago, there were just 12. There are 77 active cases in Brimbank, 50 in Moonee Valley, 38 in Moreland. Maribyrnong has 21 active cases. There are 20 in Melton, 16 in Darebin. Port Phillip, which had just 3 active cases last Tuesday, now has 12. While the city of Monash has 0 active cases this time last week, tonight there are 8. Of all the local government areas in Melbourne, only 2, Glen Ira and Cardinia, are virus-free. And Mitch, this is a major reason why we're going back into that 6-week lockdown.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Jackie. The Army and police are getting ready to shut down the New South Wales border. From midnight, Victorians will face a big fine or even jail if they try to leave the state without a permit.
These are some of the 650 officers whose job is to keep Victorians out of New South Wales. The military also called in.
There'll be some 100 members of Defence on the ground from Thursday, and that will grow to 350 over the weekend.
We're going to take some pain. Having said that, us being inconvenienced or our people being inconvenienced is a lot less worse than people being sick and being affected by this virus.
I think what we're starting to see is a level of anxiety increase and probably a little bit of fear, but that's really because there is no information.
From midnight, all northbound cars will be diverted off the Hume Highway through this Albury checkpoint, one of 5 major border crossings. Only drivers with a permit will be allowed through.
Police will have powers to demand details from people. We'll have the powers to turn people around at the border.
Drones and planes will keep watch on smaller rural roads. There'll be big penalties for those caught trying to sneak in.
We will have powers to issue a fine, or on-the-spot fine, or charge people, and they could be liable to $11,000 fine and 6 months imprisonment.
Or even swim into New South Wales.
It's been pretty cold. I reckon you'd nearly skate across the river rather than swim.
Residents of the Twin Cities will need to apply for a permit, and the delays will be long.
Obviously, customers don't want to really queue up to go over the bridge and then queue up to go back home.
It's not like an office job where you travel to work, you travel home from work. It's all day. They are backwards and forwards across this border.
The exodus from Victoria was also by plane.
I'm actually planning to move next week. It was very rush. I have to pack all my baggage in a couple of hours.
And by rail, as last-minute travellers from Victoria arrived in Sydney on the XPT train.
And Tegan Doling is in Wodonga this evening. Tegan, 6 hours to go and the permit system is still not ready.
That's exactly right, Mitch. There's no way for Victorians to be able to apply for that special permit, which will get them across the border tomorrow. What we do know, though, is that it's going to be extremely difficult for anybody to get across, and that especially here in Albury-Wodonga, the people who need to travel this border a couple times every day, they will be first in line for those permits. The one thing we do know, Mitch, anyone who wants to get into New South Wales tomorrow, it's going to be a very long and tedious wait. You could be waiting here on the causeway for hours.
Tegan Doling at Wodonga, thank you. Tensions have boiled over at the Melbourne Towers, where hundreds of residents are locked inside their own homes. They're entering their 4th night in lockdown as the COVID virus continues to spread.
Flashpoint outside locked down towers as police move in on protesters.
Bring them out of that building because if I can't go in, they can't go in. I want to see my son.
4 arrests after they gathered to support the 3,000 residents trapped inside.
Stop, 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 stop. You're holding her head down. Let her go.
Day 3 and health services workers continued testing in the infected high-rise towers in North Melbourne and Flemington. So far, it's 69 positive.
Once that testing is complete, to have those 9 towers move to the same footing that the rest of Melbourne will move to.
Hannah Mohammed is trapped inside. Her daughter Hannon, born prematurely, is still in hospital and now out of reach.
Because I've been locked down, I am not able to see my daughter. And also I'm not able to give her my milk.
She says police won't let her leave despite disturbing news from the hospital.
They say your daughter, she's been sick and she gets a running nose and cough, and we do the COVID test for her. I really want to see my daughter, especially now she's sick.
As children watched the free world, supplies were taken inside with strict precautions. Firefighters among those helping deliver food door to door, and donations continue to arrive. Major supermarkets contributed by the truckload. At Muslim Social Services, a warehouse is filled with groceries. Government red tape delaying its distribution. And outside is the overflow where people are dropping off their donations. The volunteers' priority is sorting the goods so the perishable items can get into the towers quickly.
They've been crying, they've been ringing us up and saying we need nappies,
We need baby forms. We haven't fed our children, and it breaks our heart too.
Paul Dowsley, 7 News.
The AFL is trying to come to terms with the impact of the second wave lockdown. Tom Brown is tracking developments from Sydney. And Tom, there are new questions about these hubs.
Mitch, 2 new issues for the AFL to consider tonight. They have given a commitment to players. I've spoken to the players and officials. They should be back in Victoria in about 32 days. These restrictions are 42 days. So the AFL will have to at least consider a mid-season break now. The other issue that's hard to solve is families, players increasingly anxious about their partners already looking after work and kids. If you introduce homeschooling into that arrangement, potentially, a lot of players will be uncomfortable on an ongoing basis about being away. The AFL working through the implications of the announcement as we speak tonight. Meantime, the last 2 Victorian players flew out today, the controversial stars at Collingwood, Jordan De Goey and Steele Sidebottom. After their recent controversies, we put the key questions to them at the airport.
Steele, do you recall what happened on the night? Why were we outside half nude? Jordan, is there anything you want to say about those charges?
Mitch, they'll get to Perth this afternoon and they'll have 2 COVID tests. Providing they clear those in Perth, they'll rejoin the players by the time they arrive this weekend. Mitch?
Tom Brown in Sydney, thank you. And it's not just the short-term fixtures that are up in the air. Hub states are now battling for the right to host the AFL Grand Final. Ryan Daniels is covering the Gold Coast hub, and Ryan, Queensland wants the biggest game of the year.
Well, Mitch, while the state of Victoria is in crisis, the other states are circling like vultures for the AFL Grand Final. New South Wales and Queensland have both declared they want and deserve a shot at hosting the season decider. Now, it's an election year here in Queensland. It would be a massive feather in the cap for the current Premier, Anastasia Palaszczuk, if she could seal the rights to host the biggest game of the season. Here's Queensland Sports Minister Kate Jones.
I think we could definitely play the card that the fact that we've worked so hard to make the AFL team safe here in Queensland, it'd be great if they could see that as giving us an edge on securing the AFL Grand Final.
Mitch, coming up in sport, I'll have the latest on the Western Bulldogs case at the AFL Tribunal.
Ryan Daniels on the Gold Coast, thank you. And it's crunch time for the Demons and their finals hopes. Tim Watson has more with a preview of sport. Good evening, Tim.
Good evening, Mitch. Yes, they've come under fire from a number of club greats, and we'll hear from the D's skipper shortly on whether they can turn their season around. Plus, he made it to the Gold Coast, but Tom Lynch is still racing the clock. The latest on Gary Ablett's family battle, while a former Aussie cricket star turns up to watch the Pies in their Sydney hub. And Mitch, one of the stars of the NFL, has earned a staggering new $500 million mega deal. More details a little bit later in sport.
My goodness, thank you very much, Tim. Supermarkets are bracing for more panic buying tonight. Georgia Comensoli will have details.
Mitch, we've been here before. Up next, the message on what to expect when you go shopping.
Also, an AFL star's shock admission. He says he was crying out for help. Here, a tradie's excuse for speeding down a highway after a run-in with a brown snake. And something to look forward to when we all come out of lockdown, a new budget holiday option.
G'day, I'm Alex. I'm 110% ready to fall in love.
I'm ready. I could definitely fall in love with Alex. No one's ever done something like this for me. I don't want to watch someone fall in love in front of me.
I've bitten off a bit more than what I can chew.
I think this farmer is one step closer to finding his wife.
New Farmer Wants a Wife, this July on 7.
There are 2 ways to make a mattress. The cheap way, 1-piece, single-sided with attached pillow top made out of foam. Yes, Mr. Harvey, they should be 50% off. The best way, 2-piece, double-sided, removable pillow top with thousands of microcoils and a 5-year comfort promise. Sorry, Mr. Harvey, we make them, you don't.
The Bellissimo mattress, made like no other mattress. Making mattresses. Nobody makes a better mattress. Nobody.
Last minute needs for your pet? No problem.
Get it to your door today with Petbarn's same-day delivery. And with a price match promise, there's everything you need and more at Petbarn.
We've all seen a lot of change over the years. But it's good to know you can still count on one thing. Budget Direct being named Money Magazine's Insurer of the Year once again. Isn't it time you gave Budget Direct a closer look? Budget Direct. Insurance solved.
At Priceline Pharmacy, we know everyone's different. That's why we're here with advice on everything you need to protect your family's immunity, treat symptoms head-on and recover to full health. Shop in-store or online and live winter well with Priceline Pharmacy.
And there is only one...
I'm alive. Just kidding. I'm dead inside, emotionally. But that's neither here nor there. There's still only one cure for hungry, thirsty, and that's Oak. With its full strength and full taste, it's full on. Oak doesn't just hit the spot, it slides into the spot's DMs and leaves an inappropriate emoji. Oak kills hungry, thirsty dead, then negotiates the rights to a Netflix doco about the murder. But what would I know about hungry, thirsty? I'm a teddy bear. I only drink Oak because I like the taste. Oh, Oak. Kill hungry, thirsty dead.
In a world full of flavour, don't let your denture leave you with bad breath. Try new Polydent Cleansing Wipes, our quickest and easiest way to refresh your denture for that super fresh feeling, at home or out and about.
A lot has changed in 15 years, but our low admin fees haven't. Add our strong long-term returns, and that equals more super for you. Host Plus. Wherever life takes you, we go with you.
Tasty, affordable and delicious. What's for dinner in the next break with Coles?
We're facing new supermarket shortages tonight. Georgia Comensoli has details, and Georgia, fresh supplies are being urgently shipped in from interstate.
Mitch, Melbourne is facing a supply crisis in two waves. Panic buying is officially back, with queues forming across Melbourne within minutes of Daniel Andrews announcing they were heading back into a 6-week lockdown. And confirmed COVID-19 cases at the Coles distribution site in Laverton is also having a major impact on the supply of fresh produce in supermarkets. Ivanhoe, St Kilda, Brunswick and Heidelberg are just 4 of the stores we visited today. Up to 80% of fresh produce was out of stock at those locations. It's forced Coles to ship in milk, fish and fresh fruit and veg from right across the country. They hope to have shelves 100% restocked within 48 hours. They're urging shoppers to only buy what they need.
It's the lag for us catching up supply. If the lockdown happens further, then we've got the plans and the process in place to maintain the supply, and if we have to reintroduce restrictions as a last resort, then we will need to do so.
Coles and Woolworths have removed nearly all purchasing restrictions. Toilet paper remains to be the only exception. Mitch?
Georgia Comensoli, thank you. Many thousands of businesses are now bracing for a new round of economic pain as the border closure disrupts their operations. Federal Labor is now calling on the Morrison government to extend its assistance beyond September to take the new restrictions into account.
They're 3 hours north from the Victorian border. But at the Yass truck stop on the Hume, drivers are talking about what closure means.
We've got about 14 trucks and we're up and back every day. Welcome to Victoria.
Most expect police will wave them through.
No, we're not going to stop the check at all.
Some worry about traffic snarls.
Essential services have got to get through and the general public can't congest up the borders.
On the border's eastern edge, this New South Wales caravan park operator.
Not again, that's all I felt. Here we go again.
Saw off the fires and the first virus shutdown.
This whole area needs people back to help survive.
In 16 days, the government will make clear its plan for the JobKeeper subsidy. Labor says the border closure makes keeping the assistance all the more important.
He can better target JobKeeper, he can taper it, but he shouldn't just be turning off the tap.
North of the border, they now notice Victorian number plates, so Paul Kelly drives with his postcode on his windscreen. So people can be confident it's not a COVID postcode.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's the reason why, yeah.
As he heads for the border before it closes. Tim Lester, 7 News.
Former Collingwood star Dane Beams has revealed he deliberately crashed his car into a pole earlier this year. The 30-year-old suffered concussion and spent the night in hospital.
I crashed my car deliberately. It's not something that I've ever said publicly, but I didn't want it to be fatal, like I didn't want to die. But it was a cry, like it was a massive cry for help.
Beams isn't expected to return to the AFL. A tradie has had the shock of his life when a deadly brown snake climbed up his legs while he was driving on a Queensland highway.
Came out from right in between the gear stick here. Yeah. And it just came round, like up and around, and then came like in between my legs.
And you're driving along at 100?
I'm driving along at 100, and I just started to brake, and the more I moved my legs, the more, because it's pretty big, it started to wrap around me.
He thought he'd been bitten, but it turned out to be a very lucky escape, and police waived the speeding fine. Jane Bunn joins us now. And Jane, any pleasant news on the weather front, perhaps?
Well, Mitch, there is actually, indeed there is. After days of grey in Melbourne, we have sunshine on the way. The cloud was really low at times. You couldn't see the tops of the buildings in the city in the drizzle. That cloud lifted, but it remained grey. So we only reached a top of 11.8. We're now a week into July, and parts of Melbourne have already seen a lot of rain. The biggest is Mount Dandenong with more than 60 millimetres. But it does get less and less the further west you go, thanks to the wind direction. The city's had 16, Melton only 4. It wasn't all gloomy. This is what the Mornington Peninsula looked like this afternoon. They saw the sunshine first, but the city is clearing out too. That'll mean the temperature plummets later tonight, right down to 4 degrees by dawn. But I'll have the sunny outlook after sport, Mitch.
That's the best news of the day. Thank you, Jane. Our biggest shopping centre is bucking the retail collapse. Next, Chadstone's big plans for the future and what it means for shoppers. Also, how the new lockdown spooked the stock market. Live details. New action on the park confrontation that shocked the world. And the tiny device that can predict a heart attack before it happens.
What is going on here?
With only 7 of you left, I thought you deserved something special.
Oh boy.
They're all in for an almighty fall. A romance could fall apart. And best mates.
I love you and I hate you so much.
Could have a falling out. No! Ready to pounce. Cool. Is the last one.
I'll think about it.
Anyone suspects.
They've completely underestimated me. This is my game.
New Big Brother, tonight, 7:30 on 7.
Hi guys, Dan and Steph back with you again, thanks to Coles. What's for dinner tonight in our household is a beautiful hearty beef stew with herb dumplings. Now, this is going to feed the whole family for under 20 bucks, so let's make it happen.
Right, the first step with this one, guys, very simple. We're going to cut up our gravy beef. So we've got the beautiful Australian gravy beef. So this one is great value for money. And we're going to dice this up, we're going to coat it in flour, and we're going to fry it off. So we're going to get those nice flavours happening already for this beautiful gravy beef stew. So whilst that's frying off the beef, guys, I'm just going to chop up our onion and garlic, get that ready because that's next to go in. We've mixed it up today. I noticed that Coles do these wonderful soup packs. We've got the parsnips, we've got the carrots, we've got the celery, we've got the onions, we've got the turnips, and we've got a potato. Hear that nice sizzle, guys? So now we're going to deglaze the pan with our beef stock and get all that beautiful flavour off the bottom of the pan. Next step, we add our tomato paste, good couple of tablespoons, good slug of our balsamic vinegar. You can see we've got a nice gravy going at the moment. We're now going to add all our veggies.
We're almost there with the stew. It's about to go in the oven, but we're going to pack it for more flavour. We have a bunch of parsley. We're going to use the roots into the stew and the leaves for the herb dumplings later. And we have some thyme as well.
So our stew is ready to go in the oven now. We're going to put it in for 2.5 hours at 150 degrees, and then we're going to crack on with our dumplings. So we're on to our dumplings, guys. This step's very easy. We're going to add 300 grams of flour. We're going to add salt, pepper, our fresh herbs and all our wet ingredients, and we're going to mix them up until the right consistency for a dumpling. You want it to be a little bit sticky and not too firm. We just want to add a little bit of water to bring that consistency together for us.
Now Okay, so it's been 2.5 hours and our hearty beef stew has been cooking away in the oven.
Smells delicious. You've got the little bit of balsamic coming through. We've got all those beautiful root veggies. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get our dumplings in. The stickier it is, the lighter, the fluffier the dumplings will be. And we just want to get a golf ball size, and you don't want to play around with them too much, but then we just want to plonk that in. Easy as that, guys. So we've got our dumplings in there, lid back on, in the oven, another half an hour.
Our hearty beef stew is coming out of the oven.
Scoop it out into a big bowl. Absolutely delicious, perfect for winter. And don't forget, guys, under $5 a serve. So get into Coles, get all your ingredients, and get cooking.
There's been nervous trading on the local share market after the new restrictions were revealed. Finance editor Gemma Acton joins us now. And Gemma, how did investors fare today?
Well, Peter, it was a rocky day for Aussie shares. They were heading higher early afternoon after the Reserve Bank kept interest rates on hold. But then as soon as news began to break about the Victorian restrictions being tightened, shares started to fall and the ASX 200 ended up losing all of its gains for the day, closing down by 2 points. Among the worst performers were shopping centre owners. This includes Westfield's Centre Group, down by more than 4%, and Chadstone's Vicinity, down by nearly 5%. One company not moving at all today, though, was Afterpay, the buy now, pay later giant, saw its shares jump from $8 in March to $70 earlier this month. And today they were put into a trading halt after it was announced that its co-founders would sell $250 million worth of their own shares and raise a further $800 million to grow the business overseas. Peter.
Finance editor Gemma Acton, thank you. And despite the challenges, our biggest shopping destination is pushing ahead with grand plans. Chadstone has just been given the go-ahead for a massive expansion.
The pandemic has hit shopping centres hard and Chadstone isn't immune.
It was really loud, but now it's actually got so quiet.
Much quieter. But despite the downturn, the centre remains optimistic about the future.
As we grow to live with coronavirus, we'll see people learn to live with the virus and we see that Chadstone will come through the other side of this.
Stonington Council has approved plans for a new 9-storey office building, updated fresh food precinct, expanded luxury mall and 1,400 new car spaces.
I always struggle to get a park.
When we do come out of COVID-19, we'll see a lot more people out and about, hopefully shopping at what I call the city of Chadstone.
It's anticipated the work could start by 2021, with construction complete in about 4 years' time. But what retail could look like by then is anyone's guess.
And with the world a little bit different at the moment, we're certainly going to take our time and respond and deliver what we think is appropriate at the right time.
Once people have the confidence, they will come back and start to shop again.
Estelle Graypink, 7 News.
Speed limits could be reduced in some areas of Victoria. The RACV is calling for an urgent review on limits on substandard country roads.
We've found that the 180,000 kilometres of road that needs upgrades would take 1,000 years in order to upgrade at the current level of funding.
The RACV wants all roads in 100 kilometre speed zones to be brought up to safety standards. A woman who called the police on a man birdwatching in Central Park has been charged. He asked her to control her dog. She then launched a racist rant and called 911, claiming she was under threat. She's been charged with filing a false report and is facing up to a year in jail. Hundreds of lives could be saved by a new device that can tell if you're about to have a heart attack. The implant monitors the beat of a patient's heart, providing a vital early alert that something might not be right.
When it comes to a heart attack, every minute is vital. Each day, 20 Australians die. Now it's hoped this high-tech implant will help save lives.
It really is a game changer.
Melbourne medical technology company Hydrix is preparing to distribute the world's first FDA-approved implantable heart monitor in Australia. The Guardian watches over the heart 24/7, detecting and alerting a patient to the first sign of trouble.
It sits in the same part of the chest as a pacemaker. And if it detects that something's changing, it will vibrate to let the patient know.
Flashing LED lights on an external pager alert the patient to what can be silent symptoms.
To get them to hospital on time so that we can prevent irreparable damage to the heart muscle and potentially avoid a catastrophic event.
The implant provides peace of mind. It's available in Europe and is being trialled in the US.
We're hoping for Australia, under some early access schemes, is to actually make that a product available before the end of this calendar year.
Implant surgery takes an hour and costs around $10,000. Jackie Quist, 7 News.
A Queensland woman who remembers the last big global pandemic has marked her 109th birthday. Jessie Prowse had a special celebration and recalled growing up in the middle of the Spanish flu.
I was a little girl and everyone had to wear a mask.
She says honey is the key to living a long and healthy life. We're taking important new steps in the race to find a COVID vaccine. It's happening now. Volunteers are taking it. The first results will be in soon. The details are ahead. Also a COVID warning from the heart, why we can't take any chances even at home. See Prince Harry's controversial criticism of the Commonwealth. And if nothing else, we can plan a holiday. The new budget option for under $100 a day. Details later.
From Subway sensations to the biggest stage in the world.
Never seen anything like that.
Get ready for jaw-dropping action.
Just pull it out! I can!
New America's Got Talent, Wednesday 7:30 on 7.
Hyaluronic acid. There's a reason dermatologists love it.
L'Oreal Paris introduces a powerful new serum, the new Revitalift Filler Hyaluronic Acid Serum. Our highest concentration of hyaluronic acid deeply hydrates, smooths the skin surface and replumps lines from within. In 6 weeks, wrinkles are visibly reduced by 47%.
Now we're talking.
The new Revitalift Filler Hyaluronic Acid Serum from Australia's #1 anti-aging skincare brand, L'Oreal Paris.
Well worth it.
Okay, long black for Dave, skinny latte for Dave, hot chockey for Dave, and cappuccino for David. Who's David?
From $1 each, shout the team at 7-Eleven.
We've all seen a lot of change over the years. But it's good to know you can still count on one thing. Budget Direct being named Money Magazine's Insurer of the Year once again. Isn't it time you gave Budget Direct a closer look? Budget Direct. Insurance solved.
Imagine where you'd go if nothing stood in your way. The BMW X1 S-Drive 18i. From $49,900, drive away. Go there. Search BMW X1.
It's time to come into the cold with the Kathmandu Winter Sale. Now up to 50% off. Stay warm and embrace the great outdoors we've all been missing. Explore great deals across the range at Kathmandu.
New challenges, new jobs. Wherever you go in life, Host Plus is the industry super fund that goes with you. The fund that puts members first, every day. Host Plus. Wherever life takes you, we go with you.
Tested 10 years in 10 minutes. Because it's what's inside that counts. And that's what makes it clearly a Sealy.
Sudden death now on the towel flick. Yes! The Aussie's got him a beauty! Australia has a new Mr. Whippy, chuck-a-flake in mind. Another make-it-look-easy moment from Sportsbet.
A Melbourne man admitted to hospital with coronavirus is pleading for anyone with symptoms to get tested. 23-year-old Ahmed Hassan, who caught the virus from his father, says it was unbearable.
Very, very scary. Something that I basically thought I was untouchable because I'm a young person.
He's now in quarantine at his parents' home. One of the world's most prominent COVID-19 vaccine trials has begun in Australia. Volunteers have started receiving the vaccine, which mimics COVID-19, and researchers expect early results by the end of next month.
It's one of only a handful of human trials of a COVID-19 vaccine in the world, and it's happening here in Australia.
And it's funded by CEPI, who is the largest NGO currently working to help find an effective vaccine cure. It was one of the vaccines that's backed as a potential winner.
WA volunteers have begun being injected with the vaccine. It's designed to mimic the protein, shape and spikes found on COVID-19.
We will enrol 150 subjects and we'll follow them for over 2 years, looking very closely at safety, how the drug works, and importantly, what is the immune response that this vaccine imparts.
An unprecedented 4,000 people put their hand up to be part of the trial.
I'm in tourism, so there's not much happening at the moment, and I want to get back to work, so the sooner that we can make this happen, I can do that. And I think it's also good for our mental health. You just feel better about yourself if you're helping others.
So far, there have been no side effects.
Researchers say they're feeling confident, and if successful, phase 3 of this trial will see thousands of people around the world receive this vaccine by the end of this year.
And if that goes well, it could result in a vaccine for COVID-19 being available within 18 months. Chantel Tui, 7 News.
Prince Harry has criticised the Commonwealth, saying it needs to acknowledge its past regarding racism. The Duke was advocating for equality, just as a British athlete made headlines accusing police of racial profiling.
On a London street, police stop a car they claim had been driving erratically.
Look at this. Look at this.
In the back, British Commonwealth Games gold medalist Bianca Williams handcuffed and forced to leave her 3-month-old baby.
My son is in the car. I don't want you to look after him.
She's accusing officers of racial profiling.
The only way I see it is that Ricardo was black and he was driving a nice car.
Across the Atlantic, Prince Harry took his own stance against discrimination. On a call with young leaders, he and wife Meghan spoke of racism and injustice, taking aim at the British Empire ruled by his ancestors.
Certainly when you look across the Commonwealth, there's no way that we can move forward unless we acknowledge the past. It's not going to be easy, and in some cases it's not going to be comfortable, but it needs to be done.
One British MP says Harry's comments are disappointing, going against royal protocol of staying apolitical. Commentators believe it could anger his grandmother, the Queen, the head of the Commonwealth. In London, Sarah Greenolch, 7 News.
Sports next with Tim Watson. And Tim, will the Cats be without the little master against the new premiership favourites?
Mitch, Gary Ablett is no guarantee to take on the Lions. Find out why the Cats may be without their veteran superstar in the coming weeks as well. Plus, no ducking the issue for the D skipper, but has Harley done enough for a recall? Why Tom Lynch is bracing to play through pain as a key Bulldog learns his tribunal fate, and a surgery call made for footy's next big thing.
Can't believe this got through unscathed. Have a look at Rao. He's been untucked. Do you know what that is to me? Straight up $2,000 fine, and he should be made to tuck him back in. You'll see Rao this week. He'll be wearing a belt.
Suspenders?
Suspenders? Don't. If you're not going to take it seriously.
Sorry.
The Front Bar, Wednesday on 7.
Because sometimes it's more than just growing pains. Bupa offers an online program to help you manage your mental well-being. Bupa, because life happens. Call today.
No matter where it comes from, a lot of great food has one thing in common. Farmers Union Greek-style yogurt.
Make anything zing! Sam O'Keefe in the sock slide. This is it. Come on, Slippery. On the runway. Slides. It's big. It's a new world record!
Somebody stop her! She'll slide out the stadium!
That Make It Look Easy moment was brought to you by Sportsbet's new AFL Player Hub. Now it's easy to find all your favourite player markets in the one spot. You can even add them to a same-game multi for bigger odds. AFL Player Hub. Try it now with Sportsbet.
At Macca's, cleanliness is our priority, ensuring we keep our team and the community safe. You can still get your favourites and essential items contact-free. Thanks to all our teams across Australia, we'll be here.
I love shopping online for my pets at Pet Circle. I can easily find thousands of products, all with the best price guarantee. These guys are like family and I want to take care of them. But finding their favourite brands is hard and expensive. Then I discovered petcircle.com.au. With Pet Circle, I save on food, treats and litter, all with contactless, free delivery to my door. There's no reason to shop anywhere else. And it seems a lot of people agree. Shop online at petcircle.com.au.
So do I pay tax on JobKeeper?
I'm working from home. What can I claim?
We've all got tax questions this year. Thankfully, at H&R Block, we have the answers.
Let's get you started.
Maximise your tax refund. Book an appointment today.
The problem with stubble? Irritation and itchiness. New Nivea Men Sensitive Skin and Stubble Balm. Instant relief from irritation and beard itch. From the Nivea Men Sensitive range. Nivea Men. It starts with you.
Drive now, pay later on selected Volkswagen Amaroks and vans. Hit the ground rolling with your first 3 monthly repayments on us. Plus, get a 1.99% interest rate.
Volkswagen.
Just keep winning.
Prepare yourself for Cats and Lions. An unpredictable Thursday night footy on 7.
Welcome back. Victorian clubs are facing a fight for resources in Sydney hubs. Returning to Tom Brown now in the Harbour City. And Tom, it's a logistical nightmare up there.
Tim, they're making the most of it, but the only proper footy ground really near the city without a drop-in cricket pitch is the Swans Lakeside Oval. But even that's padlocked for much of the week. They've got restricted access. Collingwood training at Sydney University near the city. Melbourne training on a makeshift NRL Oval. Hawthorn training out at Coogee as they look for more appropriate venues. Back in Manly, I spoke to the Melbourne captain one-on-one about this form slump that's really threatening their season and indeed their finals chances. Max Gawn's done a deep dive, addressing fan frustration. Melbourne's in for another wasted season.
The reality is we're 1-3. And if you had walked around our change rooms after the game on Sunday, you would have seen some guys in really, really down.
Gary Lyons described the Demons' problem as red mist. Like a speedo jammed in the red zone, lacking patience, he thinks they play frenzied footy that players can't execute.
That's what he sees, and to be fair, it's probably true. At times, Richmond rushed us.
Problems that see the Demons down the bottom of the ladder, with questions if their 2018 preliminary finals appearance was an aberration.
The reality is we've won 5 games out of 25 or whatever it is, and we do have to start improving and improving quickly. We don't want this to be a 2021 thing or a 2022 thing.
There are also questions why they haven't played Harley Bennell. 6 of their players have a negative kick rating. The argument, Bennell would be useful hitting up the forwards.
I think Harley is one of the better kicks in our team. He got told to go back and work on a few things, and he's been able to play in 2 games that were 14 aside and dominate both of them.
Tom Brown, 7 News.
Richmond is refusing to rule Tom Lynch out of Sunday's clash against Sydney. Returning to Ryan Daniels on the Gold Coast now. And Ryan, the Tigers forward is racing the clock though.
Well, Timmy managed to get into the state before the cut-off last night, but now Tom Lynch needs to prove he's not hampered by the hand surgery he had yesterday. The Tigers star trained here on the Gold Coast this morning. It was a very light session. You could see his hand is heavily bandaged, but he was in good spirits, and the Tigers don't play till Sunday, so he'll have extra time to heal. Meanwhile, the Western Bulldogs are at the tribunal tonight arguing against the one-match suspension handed to Hayden Crozier for this tackle, and the jury upheld the decision originally, so Crozier would be guilty and serve a one-match ban, but they are now trying to argue that due to the unique circumstances of the 2020 season, a fine of $3,000 would be more appropriate than a one-match suspension. So the jury has gone back to deliberate yet again. And just finally, the Saints are loving life in Noosa. They play the Dockers this weekend. Nat Fyfe will play, but the Dockers will be without Jesse Hogan for the next 3 weeks. He's got a calf injury. Tim?
Thanks, Ryan. Geelong says it will support Gary Ablett if he chooses to return home from the Cats interstate hub. The superstar joined his teammates in Sydney after revealing son Levi was battling a rare degenerative disease.
A private battle which Gary Ablett made public only days ago. His decision to commit to the Cats interstate exodus clearly tougher than most.
We consider our role as one of support for whatever he needs. So right at the moment, we're pushing on with a little bit of a loose plan around what his next month to 6 weeks might look like.
Victoria's second wave, another curveball for clubs, now expecting a longer stint away from home.
The last thing that we want to do is send guys home and then be away longer than expected and risk not being able to get them back into the state in which we're playing.
Ablett no guarantee to take on the Lions this Thursday night off a 5-day break. The Pies had an interesting onlooker at their Sydney Uni training ground. Former Test off-spinner Greg Matthews kept a close eye on Nathan Buckley's side. On the other side of town, the Hawks enjoyed a quiet day off after a week of uncertainty.
Last week was probably one of the most bizarre weeks of my footy journey. 1 hour we'll go on the Gold Coast, and then the next hour we'll go on to Perth, and then the next hour we'll come to Sydney. So I was even getting stressed out, so I was thinking of the guys that have families and kids.
With a 5-day break, Liam Shields and Mitchell Lewis are unlikely to take on the Pies, who they shared a flight up to Sydney with on Sunday.
The boys are a little bit banged up, but we'll get in the ocean and go for a walk and do some recovery stuff and get ready for Collingwood on Friday night.
Buddy Franklin continues his hamstring rehab, but the Swans aren't expecting the superstar forward to be in their immediate plans. And Matt Rowell will undergo shoulder surgery. His season likely over with a 3-month recovery expected. Andrew McCormack, 7 News.
Melbourne City plans to travel to New South Wales tonight after a cancelled flight late last night delayed the A-League's Victorian exodus. In the Premier League, 2 Spurs teammates nearly came to blows at the end of the first half against Everton.
Tempers certainly raised there. What does it tell you then, an incident like that, about your dressing room?
It tells me that they care. It tells me that they were really upset, frustrated.
After winning 1-0, the pair hugged it out. And the term Godfather deal now has a new meaning after reigning Super Bowl MVP Patrick Mahomes signed a 10-year extension with the Kansas City Chiefs for a staggering $640 million. At just 24, Mahomes now has the richest contract in the history of American sports, with bonuses the quarterback could earn upwards of $700 million. He'll be 36 when the contract expires. Still young enough to enjoy the coin too, Mitch, probably.
Good luck to him. Thank you very much, Tim. If you own a caravan or have ever thought of buying one, you could benefit from a new app like Airbnb. It means when we're finally able to take a holiday, they'll be much cheaper.
Sandy Christensen-Smith has never owned a camper or a caravan, but she's hooked. Instead of buying gear worth tens of thousands of dollars, she's joining friends on holiday for less than $100 a night on share economy platform Camplify.
Literally, you can put in your personal stuff, the food you want to eat, and you're on your way.
It's like Airbnb for RVs.
Trailers, camper vans, motorhomes and caravans, and something for everyone's budget.
Perfect for husband and wife Jordan and Julie Ryan.
It can make you about $10,000 a year.
Before, they only used their caravan 5 times a year. Now they rent it out all year round, starting at $90 a night. They'll throw in everything plus the kitchen sink, barbecue, cooking utensils, salt and pepper, even a bottle of wine in the fridge.
So things like camp chairs, cutlery, all those things are included, gas.
Plus a coffee machine, washing machine, shower and flushing toilet.
We provide everything you need, and there's no commitment, no obligation until you actually get a hire.
And if you get into car troubles...
Fully comprehensively insured, full roadside assistance anywhere in Australia.
But keeping the kids entertained is up to you. Georgie Chumley, 7 News.
Jane is next with the forecast, and Jane, there's lots of sunshine tomorrow.
Mish, there is indeed. Now, after a frosty start and foggy morning, the afternoon sun should make it feel a bit nicer. Those details are next.
Hello. Tonight on the latest from 7 News across Victoria, Melbourne forced back into lockdown, what you can and can't do, everything you need to know. And the Federal Health Minister Greg Hunt joins me. He has the inside word, how those decisions were made and his message for Victorians. As it happens during the evening, we'll keep you up to date on every new development. A special edition of the latest from 7 News at 10.
It's their dream.
Move to Italy.
Yeah.
Oh, we're moving to Italy.
That is amazing!
And we want you to come with us.
And if this is all we have tonight. Would you choose your family or the love of your life?
They want me to move to Italy with them.
I'm not moving to Italy. Are you going?
Home and Away. Next up on 7.
Coming to you live from the scene. Tell us what you've got there. Toilet paper?
Nah, just dinner stuff.
Right. You must have paid an unprecedented price for that during these unprecedented times.
Nah, they're from Aldi. Prices are always low. Let's just go.
Whatever happens, our low prices are here to stay. Aldi. Good. Different.
We know you've always worked hard for your money. In these uncertain economic times, who do you trust to protect your wealth? Invest with La Trobe Financial, Australia's multi-award winning wealth manager and leading credit specialist. Trusted by Australians for more than 60 years.
Treat yourself to a smooth, delicious barista-made McCafe coffee and we could treat you to a free coffee every day for a year. Drive through and buy any McCafe drink and go in the running to be your local McCafe winner.
This is the Dyson Corral Straightener with manganese copper alloy plates. Invented to flex, shape and gather for enhanced styling. With less damage. And even without a cord. Dyson Corral.
The $10.
Streaming now on Disney Plus.
The
Tony, Grammy and Pulitzer Prize winning phenomenon is here. Hamilton. Streaming now on Disney Plus.
This July, Hyundai has value you'll have to see to believe. Get great value across our range of vehicles, packed with technology, safety and style. And right now, get a special 2.9% finance rate across the Hyundai SUV range. Contact your local Hyundai dealer today for a limited time only.
La Trobe wants to push you a little bit further, so more critical thinking or think more creatively.
And La Trobe is the vehicle to help you be the best that you can be.
You know, La Trobe pushed me to my limit in a good way.
Unlike ordinary toothpaste, Colgate Total's breakthrough formula actively fights bacteria for 12 hours, keeping your whole mouth healthy. Colgate Total. Be totally ready for life.
Hello again. The clouds breaking up, but there's sunny weather on the way. It'll make the view outside a bit nicer to look at. We had yet another grey day in Melbourne with drizzly showers. These dried up late afternoon, but it only reached 12. The cloud will rapidly clear overnight, and when it does, the temperature should plummet. Cloud is stuck across southern and western Victoria, gradually breaking up with widespread sunshine in our future. But here is this large area of fog up near the border in the northeast that lasted all day. So Wangaratta only reached a top of 6, Yarrawonga 7. It was still thick late afternoon, and that means we'll have widespread fog tomorrow morning, and then the sun can finally return. A cold front is tracking across the Tasman Sea while the highs moving in. Once that high is centred out to our east, we get sunshine as winds turn light northerly, and that happens tomorrow. Up the coast, showers hit Sydney tonight, then it's Brisbane's turn late tomorrow. So we'll have a few days of cold and frosty nights with areas of fog, but once that clears out, it is a sunny and pleasant day. On Friday, showers do return, mainly over the northeast quarter. There may be thunderstorms in there too. Showers increase at the western border at night, and the wet weather fills in on Saturday, affecting much of the state. It'll be hit and miss showers, tending to areas of persistent rain with some good snow on the higher Alps. On Sunday, it dries up in much of the north, but widespread showers keep going in the south. So for Melbourne, it could be wet for much of the weekend in lockdown and dreary outside. Around the nation tomorrow, a dry day in Brisbane before those showers hit at night. Sydney, a mix of sun and cloud. Just 10 today in Hobart and the same tomorrow. Adelaide is dry, Perth has a showery morning. To Victoria, with clearing skies, frost makes a comeback through central and eastern parts, but not right at the coast. There's also likely to be widespread fog as cloud finishes clearing the far west. Now, once both of those have dissipated, it is sunny statewide. Closer inland, we're likely to have frost, fog and low cloud in the morning, but that'll clear out for a sunny afternoon across all of the suburbs. The city is still murky till late tomorrow morning with a cold start, but the afternoon has bright sunshine that'll make 15 feel quite nice. To the 8-day outlook, Thursday, a sunny one, absolutely lovely, a chilly start, rising to 16. 16 on Friday as well. Cloud builds at night and the wet weather is across the weekend. That is 2 cold and wet days, and what do you know, it clears out on Monday morning. So we have foggy low cloud tomorrow morning, and with a low of 4, that'll be feeling very chilly. Afternoon great, bright sunshine, 15, Mitch.
Thank you, Jane. And that's the way it is this Tuesday, the 7th of July. Thanks for your company. We'll have the latest developments on Victoria's COVID crisis in a special edition of The Latest at 10 p.m. For now, good night.